Hello and welcome to Everyday Channel number 108, your favorite, most deceptively named bi-weekly Legacy podcast. If you want to support the show directly, you can become a Patreon on patreon.com/everydaychannel. Callum, how's it going, man? How is your very special day? I hear the entire United Kingdom of Great Britain, Northern Ireland, and I think there's even some people like on the Isle of Man, and what else is there, like Jersey, Canary, like those in the channel that are not actually
Guernsey.
part of the UK. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Have you been there? Are they celebrating with you for your special day? Because it's your birthday, man. Happy birthday,
Well, of course.
dude.
Thank you.
Mate, right?
Mate.
Mate.
Well,
That's the
mate.
British version?
Fucking
That's
geezer,
more
mate.
Australian?
Oi, oi. Yeah. The Queen put like a national holiday today, so we've all taken a moment of silence to drink our tea in support of me. I don't know. I'm not actually much of a birthday person. I'm not into celebrating too much and stuff, so it's been a quiet day. Just went to work, did my thing. I've had a couple of beers now, so I'm allowed on this show. I've always been very good. I like press the mute button when I'm opening a new beer in the other podcasts, but this time I'm like, fuck it, it's my birthday. I'm going to open the beers loud and proud, so you're going to hear this.
This is what makes you a professional, right? What are your podcasting skills? I know when to press the mute button.
Yeah, I've learned over however many episodes I've done now, 30 or so. I've learned the mute button. I don't know much else. But anyway,
we will see. There's actually not many other buttons. There's a raise your hand button that we basically never use. I thought this is the smartest thing ever, and then we have never used it. Like I just
raised my hand. Nice.
And then you have to click your icon to put it down again. Yeah, awesome. But yeah, you're old now. Have you like? What are some like typical old people habits? Did you get like one of those lawnmowers you can sit on and have your bingo card ready and stuff?
You know what? I didn't realize until you've just asked this question, but I bought myself some socks for my birthday. If that doesn't like sum up being old, I don't know what does. I got myself some new trousers and some new socks. But
which color for the socks?
Just plain black.
Plain black.
Yeah, I always wear black clothes, so got to be done. But no, jokes aside, I'm going out for some drinks this week and seeing some friends and stuff. But yeah, it's been nice I got lunch bought for me at work. I'll take that.
That's awesome. Oh, and speaking of work, by the way, I'm returning to the office next month. So first off, actually, I don't know if it's going to be the first, but yeah. First work
Is it like
day
your
of
first
September.
day in the office since the beginning of COVID?
Kind of officially. So the first in 1.5 years, because I've been to the office occasionally here and there when I really needed to like get some files that we didn't have online and stuff, or when like the server broke. But this is going to be my first full return to the office.
Wow. Because were you working there full time before? I guess it's a big change.
Yeah. I've been there for 8 years now.
Are you looking forward to it?
On one hand, yes. On the other hand, no. No, primarily just because our technical setup is like pretty fucked up. But that's, on the other hand, like that ties into that. I have a lot of ideas what I really want to improve, because being stuck in home office for like 1.5 years, I've really gotten to appreciate a lot of technical gadgets, and part of that's like having multiple screens and stuff. And there's so many things I want to upgrade. There's I will sooner or later also have to train somebody to fill in for me eventually, because I haven't had like vacation in 1.5 years. So like right now I'm sitting on 48 vacation days.
That's
and
insane.
I really want to
do
go.
that.
Yeah. Pretty much like I don't want to go like on a holiday far away, but I'd still love to go like just like chill out for 2 weeks. Sort out everything in life. Finally finish the Everyday Channel website. By the way, it's really making progress, which is part of why I haven't streamed. The other part is because I smashed in my screen with my MKM.
Oh yeah, the last episode. Don't remind yourself.
Oh man, I had to decrease the volume on that like tenfold. That was so loud, like it actually it destroyed Audacity almost.
I think Kai and myself, when it came across, was like, holy shit, is Julian like being, I don't know, raided, like people breaking into a house? It's just a huge bang. But I really do hope you get to find somewhere some time off. Like I'm in a not as bad but similar situation where I was like instrumental to the company getting through the lockdown and everything. I was the only person working, and I was working nights and stuff. And I think I've had about 1.5 to 2 weeks off in the last 1.5 or 2. But they appreciate that, and they know that they've said like, you know, it's amazing you've done this, blah 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 blah. And I've got like a whole week off in 2 weeks just to do absolutely nothing, sit around.
Oh, that's the best.
Yeah, go for a walk, play
best.
some leagues, stuff like that. So I hope you can get the same.
Looking forward to that. Yeah. Oh man, that's going to be
great.
So
where can people send applications to get a job with you?
Probably to me, Julian at itsjulian.com.
It's Julian at it's Julian at it's Julian.
You need to be able to physically come into the office, and we're in a suburb of Munich, if that works. And yeah, this is going to be interesting. Like I used to train people for the job where I volunteered at, like the elderly daycare, basically. But I've never trained people for like a proper job. I think you recently did that for your job, right?
I'm currently a month and a half into training someone, and it's okay. I've never ever done anything like it before, so I don't know. Get in there. Just got to keep telling them things. As simple as that is. It sounds so dumb. I just keep messaging, emailing, and writing out long lists of all these things to do, and then they don't do them, and then you have to tell them again. And look, this is how you do it. And how do you do it? It's I told you in big detail in this big long email. Please read it. But, yeah.
Just remembered, I just watched Training Day before the podcast. Have you watched that?
I think I did when I was a teenager. I remember the cover. And I think I watched it on VHS, and it was terrible. But what's it about?
Was it terrible? Actually, I kind of liked it, but it's not the kind of movie you watch over and over again. I have some favorites, but I think Denzel Washington actually won the Oscar for the best main actor in that one.
Maybe it's all right then. My taste could be terrible.
Awesome. So, I thought I'm just going to send out a request for listener questions, and somehow we always end up with way more listener questions than I anticipated.
Yeah, seriously. We were thinking we'll go over the Showcase Challenge especially, then we'll go over the other challenges and thoughts on the format as well. It's good to always have a recap of what's going on, anything new exciting. But actually we got so many questions, and they're all really good. So I think it's going to be a nice mailbag plus catching up on results.
Yeah, I guess one day we're actually going to do a dedicated mailbag episode, because right now I still try to have it so that our questions are somewhat related to the upcoming show. But if you want to do an entire mailbag episode in the future, I think if people are up for that, you can literally ask us anything.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
For this one, I've split it up into two parts. So the first part is very general questions about the format and Callum's birthday. And the second part is about the Legacy Showcase and the Legacy challenges on the weekend and the kind of metagame winners, losers, best performers, worst performers and stuff that we have seen there. And some of the listener questions that don't appear in the first segment, they have been put into that second segment because they are directly related to what we see in those numbers.
Sounds like a twin situation to me. 2 parts.
So let's go straight into the first part. The first question coming to us comes from SC Tilly. And that one was actually for Kai initially. Unfortunately, it reached us right after we had finished the episode with Kai. But I still think it's quite interesting because he's asking, do you feel like streaming is saturated these days? What do you think? What do you think your stream does well to differentiate it from others? So I included this one because I'm wondering, do you feel like especially legacy streaming is saturated these days, or how's the market for legacy streamers like right now?
I don't. And yeah, I agree. Keeping these questions is really good because I'm sure you have some thoughts as well. Legacy has always been a format that's built up on this idea of deck specialists as well. And for the best example is Anurag. He's known for playing Miracles, and now he started to expand and stuff, but he still plays a lot of Control. That's what he's known for, and he's also just known as being a legacy person now. But then you have XJ Cloud is popping to my head. He's D&T specialist. He's fantastic with the deck. Eli Goings, who is Goblin Lackey 1 with surprise goblins. Again, he's been doing incredibly well recently with his show. We'll get to it later. Top 8 of the Showcase after top 8 in the Showcase Challenge recently. I'm going to be forgetting tons Interplay, Cloudpost Specialist. I could just rattle off tons of amazing streamers. And so even if there's a lot of them at once, I don't feel like it's saturated because I don't think there's a lot of crossover. Actually, funnily enough, I think one of the least streamed decks is probably Delver, even though it's 20% or whatever. We have Rich Callie who streams it sometimes, but otherwise I don't see that many people streaming it. So I think you have streamers who are deck specialists, or you have very interesting people who play all different archetypes, namely Bosch and Roll, Brian Koval, and Phil Gallagher, Thrapen University, and yourself when you stream, Julian. You take lots of really interesting donation deck lists, especially from kind MTG.
Yeah, there's a really interesting one coming up with our value shared fate.
I love it. Ugly Duckling 2.0. But so the point I'm trying to make is, for me, it doesn't feel oversaturated at all. Or did he? Oh, he said saturated. I've just been answering the question wrong the whole time. Anyway, I think my point is generally, on about it. So
but I guess saturated and oversaturated is kind of the same in the end.
Yeah, I think so. How do you feel?
I think it's definitely not saturated or oversaturated. It's somewhat concentrated. Basically, in the European late afternoon, early evening, there you have a lot of crossover. And what I really like is when new people from different time zones come in. For example, when Kai streams, that's amazing for me. That's just like I can have that on during the day. Or when, Dukes on Twitch streams, that's also like something I would sometimes put on in the background when I'm like up in the morning. And that's just like what time zones bring to you. So especially Kai was such an amazing addition to the Legacy streaming scene, and I'd love to see more of that. Well, actually, now that the office day is starting up again, I won't really have that many opportunities to watch those guys. But yeah, that's just, for example, for me, there's streamers like, I rarely ever watch Jarvis just because of time zones, right? Jarvis usually, for you, it's like a little bit easier 1 hour earlier.
Yeah, he often starts at the late-ish evening, which is when I'm kind of having some time to do something else. Yeah. And
then there's Anurag, who's like all over the place. He literally streams like any time of the day.
Yeah. Well, it's nice having a nice surprise if you're like not doing something according to plan, because I can't watch streams at work, so I'm kind of morning and evening only. So I do watch Dukes when he's on in the morning, which is a nice thing for me. I wake up.
Oh, that's like, so great. That's so great.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I very often, when I wake up in the morning, I check my phone, see what's going on, and then like kind of put a stream on, and usually fall back asleep before the next alarm. But if Dukes is on, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get up and have a coffee and watch.
But another reason why I wanted to like explore or keep that question for this episode as well is I think that with regards to quality, like production quality, Legacy, or not even like Legacy is probably above average with that. But generally speaking, it's still underexplored in Magic. For example, you see, I keep going back to Kai because I love his stream so much. I actually recently subbed. And he's got like really good production quality from 0 to 10 in a week, I called it. Like, I mean, it's not really 10, but it's very, very, very high standard, above average. And I think a lot of people could do that. Like, whether you want to do it, I mean, at some point it requires a money investment or like a time investment that not everybody can or wants to make. But with regards to that, I think you can really, really stand out if you increase your production quality. Like, you have guys like Anurag, who's got top, like, I almost want to go and say maybe the best production quality in all of Magic. Like, I don't really watch other streamers of other formats, but he's basically up there.
Yeah.
And I want to say, if people have that ambition to make their stream look nicer, and I know that for a lot of people, like with anything in life, it's like, oh no, it's all about the essence, it's all about the content, I don't need aesthetics and stuff, but it really helps. It really helps. And I think that's what streaming is still undersaturated on. And yeah, the more people, the more ideas, the more maybe, somebody's going to step up the game. And yeah, that's something I see still underexplored, undersaturated.
Yeah, it's a bit of both, right? But I think without one, the other one's going to fall flat on its face. They're like both very important. And it is true, like you'll often find like a very interesting person and they're a good streamer and they'll be playing, but they'll be like, you'll just hear loads of background noise, bad mic, and I know it especially turns you off. And it's just hard to watch for a long period of time. So even if you want to watch the person, you just won't be coming back to them every time. Whereas Kai just has both in bucket loads. He's like charming, he's a good player, he's funny and nice. I'm just gushing here. And as you said, his stream setup is just fantastic because the quality is great. He's obviously made the investment in both time and some money to get like a computer that will support it. The microphone's good quality, and he streams at crazy hours. He streams like in the middle of the night and stuff for himself. So he's really making an effort to make the stream good and successful. And he's now just consistently getting like 200 viewers off the bat. It's amazing. And yeah, couldn't be happier for him because go and watch him.
Awesome. So yeah, if you're thinking about getting to streaming Legacy, definitely do it. Just start to. I will never forget my very first stream title 8 years ago was, "Hi, my name is Julian, and I think I called it like, I'm starting to stream Legacy by just doing it." I think that was my very first stream title. I was like, whatever, let's just do it.
Until the very end, that's the most German thing, just like to explain what you're doing. "Hi, my name is Julian, and I'm streaming Legacy." Perfect.
Moving on. Another question coming to us from Colonoscopy. I will never grow tired of that name.
I love it.
Non-MTGO related. What are each of yours ideal birthday meals?
Mine's going to be really quick and easy because I'm just not a foodie person. I don't really appreciate good food, which is awful to say. So I'll go for a couple of beers.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I mean, in Bavaria, we call that basically a meal.
Cool. I'll have Bavarian meals.
For me, it's really like exploring something new, exotic. I think last year I was taken for dinner, and we went to, I think it was like a Mexican Tex-Mex place, and I tried something new I've never had before, and yeah, that's just like a great thing for me. Sometimes my best friend and his wife, they invite me for dinner on my birthday and stuff. I think we did that not last year but 2 years ago, and yeah, that's just like what I like doing, to try something new, and yeah, that's a good birthday meal.
Yeah, I'd go with that. I haven't actually.
Yeah,
tried
but I don't
that
think they
many
would take you as well.
Fine. Oh my god, I'll be left outside just drinking like a hip flask and crying.
Oh man,
I'll still go.
Moving on, Kinda is asking, what are the best answers to Kaldra Compleat? Is it really pronounced complete? It looks so weird.
Mm-hmm.
Is it even beatable?
I've got the best answer, so let's see if you can work it out.
Is it Vindicate? No, wait, it's not Vindicate. But I have like a proper answer, but I guess you have a funny answer.
Okay, well, it depends how highly you value like getting into their mind and making them tilted.
Okay. So my idea is actually like, don't think about Kaldra Compleat as something you beat. It's like the deck and their strategy that you beat. Unless your deck is like something like check pile, you don't really think about beating cards one for one. It's more like, like in some way you're always like looking for virtual card advantage, right? Like if your opponent has 2 Tarmogoyfs and you have a Baleful Strix, they never really want to attack into it, and that way you're already ahead. But with Kaldra Compleat, it's like if you want to beat that thing in a strategic way, you just put a Kaldra Compleat into play that's one bigger or something. Or
so your answer is Glorious Anthem. Is what I'm getting.
My answer is basically this is so far removed from how I think about the game that I can't really give an honest answer without like completely compromising how I think about the game, which like sounds kind of pretentious, I guess, but I'm not looking to beat an equipment. I'm looking to create scenarios where the equipment isn't good.
I would play Fumble.
What?
Fumble. Do you not know Fumble?
What does it do?
Okay.
Apparently I don't.
I need to look up the exact text, but Fumble is really good against Kaldra. This is where I haven't actually read the card.
Oh, no, wait. I think I know what it does. Isn't it the thing where the equipment becomes attached to something else?
You return target creature to its owner's hand, gain control of all auras and equipment that were attached to it, then attach them to another creature.
Yeah, that's the one. How much mana is it? Like 1 or 2?
2. 1 and a blue.
Oh, do it.
So that's the sickest blowouts, and like they will never forget that. If you fumble someone's Kaldra Compleat, they're gonna tell their friends and be quite upset about it for a while. They're like, I mean, it depends what kind of player they're like. Oh my god, I can't believe I lost this fucking bullshit card. Yeah. You can also, I was just watching LSV stream before we started recording, and he was playing modern blue-white control, and he Archmage's charmed the Germ. So, and then because it's 7 mana to re-equip, it takes them so long to get there, they're probably dead by then. So.
Oh, there used to be this thing that we actually played on Legacy like 10 years ago. It's 2 mana, and target creature phases out, and I can't remember the name of it. Reality something.
So, you could Sapphire Charm the artifact, the equipment, but they changed the wording on phasing. I know this
exactly.
only because our London chat, shout-outs to Canorano, this came up, but this was a suggestion of the Sapphire Charm, and someone pointed out that phasing changed so that it would actually come back the next turn.
Yeah, that's basically the same way it worked with the other card. I can't remember it right now.
Is what people did, I think.
No, I mean,
the other
it's
card,
an instant. Okay. It's 2 mana. You would like phase out the token, and before, like you mentioned, like before phasing changed, anything equipped to it would remain phased out forever. And yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, Fumble has got to be the answer. Well, you said Glorious Anthem. You're stuck. Sorry, that's your answer. I'm going with Fumble.
It's the worst answer.
shout out to Archmage's Charm, but yeah, Glorious Anthem.
Okay,
nice one.
Okay, Glorious Anthem. Watch out for the spike.
Yeah.
It's going to be there. Moving on, we got a question from Lord Francis. See, the British nobility coming in for the questions here.
Welsh nobility.
Welsh, see.
Yeah.
By the way, did you hear about the Welsh guy who went on a holiday to Afghanistan? Yeah, I think I told you about him.
I did, yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. And he got stuck there.
I think he's back now, but this guy is what you guys would call a proper mad lad.
Yeah, mad lad is exactly the term. Yeah.
I have so much more to explore in British English. It's amazing. So Francis is asking, with the return of some paper events, has the difference in what people choose to play in paper and online been noticeable to both of you? And when will Julian come to the London Legacy Monthly? Second thing is, I'd love to, like, in maybe a couple of months, but it's so hard to predict with COVID, right? At least in Germany, like, things are super hard on the rise again, and
I reckon it's going to be like a few months, maybe after the new year is probably more safe when everyone's going to be traveling freely. It could be sooner that you're allowed to. I'm not making your decisions for you, but
yeah.
Yeah,
I can't tell you yet, but you already had like some couple of great suggestions, like Friday Cube at the bar, Saturday Legacy, Sunday pre-Innistrad Legacy. Oh my god, sign me up.
Yep. So the idea is, so for anyone else listening that like is in Europe or the UK and fancies that kind of idea, the moment that it's kind of like travel is easier, which I do think is, it depends how everything goes. You say it's unpredictable, but a couple of months away. If you, and we were talking to Mark earlier, Mark Eric Vogt, if you guys are going to like tell me that you're going to come over for the Saturday event, we do it once a month. I will completely just put on events all around it. So Friday, we could do either a day or just evening of being in a bar and cubing, which is always fun, obviously. And then Sunday, we can do pre-Innistrad. Mark wants to play some old school with people as well. We could just play loads of old sweet formats and stuff as well. So yeah, we'll make a really good weekend of it.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I'm like I've mentioned how I need to just like relax and get some time off work.
You do.
And yeah,
you do.
That would be a great part of it.
Yeah, and you don't need very long, but yeah.
For the first part of the question, I guess you can say more. I think you've played more. I haven't really played any paper events. By the way, on Tuesday I went to our local Legacy at the bar Tuesday night for the first in I think 1.5 years.
Oh, yeah, how was it?
And it felt amazing. It was absolutely amazing. When I came home, I felt like rejuvenated almost. Like this is like I got to meet people, hang out, eat Wiener Schnitzel, and have a good time.
Yeah.
What's not to love about it?
So after our first Tuesday back, I was just buzzing, just smiling. Like it's so different. Like I mean, I joked in our Discord that the first week back I played against 2 blue-red Elves out of 3 rounds. It was just quite funny. It's like Toman Ragavans, can't escape it. But it didn't matter. Like it was just so nice interacting with people, and it was an absolute joy. And so I think we've gone to 4 weeks now. We've done a month back of weekly Tuesday nights, and we've done our first weekend back of London Legacy Monthlies as well, which quickly, I'm just going to talk about that before we finish the question. Just like shout out to everyone that came. It was absolutely incredible. We did a Saturday and a Sunday. The Saturday had 34 players and the Sunday had 24, I think. I just couldn't have asked for more. Everyone was there, chill, nice. Special shout out to some Birmingham guys that came down. Is it Tom, Kieran, Dylan? I hope I got your names right. They were absolutely lovely to meet, and they said they enjoyed the podcast. And we had just really cool top 8s as well, really fun. And like everyone was using advantage of the proxies allowed, but also like had half the decks made, it felt like, as well. So people were playing things that they wouldn't usually be allowed to play, but they're clearly into Legacy as well. And I'm just so excited to have them back. And we've already sold out the September one. We sold it out in 3 or 4 days. 40 players, again, like kind of capping it to have a nice spacious area. But yeah, to sell out so fast was kind of, we expected it to sell out, but not that fast. So yeah, amazing. Paper hype.
That's great to hear. I hear the one coming up in Freising, like northern suburb of Munich, for I think it's September 5th, is already sold out as well. Even though I'm not involved with the organization. I don't know whether it's probably taking place, but we since COVID is really on the rise here. There's some new precautions, so we will see.
Yeah. We are going off the premise of like if everything gets worse, then we need to consider. But so far, it's looking okay.
With regards to what people were playing, for the one event that took place here, from what I've seen the results, it looked pretty much like what you'd expect from a paper event. Like, I guess some people played Raga once, but I didn't really see too many of those. From what I saw, most people played what they played before the pandemic started, except for, like, somehow Alluren is really popular. I think the guy who won it played Aluren, and then another guy built Aluren, and they really liked that Archlich.
we had a guy top 4 both events with a Yorion Aluren as well. It's quite cool.
What is it about Aluren?
Aluren, the Aluren cards need more value, so Yorion has to go into, obviously. And something about Aluren, it's kind of cool, and it's like the deck's not bad at all, but it's expensive to build in comparison to its power level, I guess. So people just don't want to invest in it. Potentially,
is it expensive? What's expensive in Aluren? I guess the mana base.
The mana base is usually bug, and it has a bunch of jewels because it's either 3 or 4 colors, and then it's like plays
and then
4.
A bunch of like draft commons.
Well, it plays like forces, Uros. I don't know.
I have absolutely no idea how much Uro is in paper.
No, it's probably like a 5, and now it's all banned and everywhere. Yeah, I'm making it up.
This is how we do it on this podcast. We just make it all up. Like Legacy doesn't even exist. You've never heard about it. It's like, hey, you heard about this new format, Legacy? Yeah, it's an everyday turn. Everybody plays it. Oh, cool.
I have no idea. It's just cool. Like, people. There was a food chain player on the Saturday as well. So people struggled. I guess Aluren's not as bad online, but food chain is horrific to play online. So maybe that's part of it. But for us, I have noticed a bit more kind of fringe or tier 2 decks being played, but there's still a lot of people playing good cards as well. There's been a bunch of Delvers. There's been like Jeskai.
Is that even good anymore?
Maybe, but we've also seen a lot of Jeskai good cards. I'm calling it all these different archetypes. Like people are saying Saga still, Ragavan, whatever
Stifle,
stuff. It's just blue or red good cards. So yeah, I've seen a lot of those as well.
Blue, white, red, good. Jeskai, good stuff.
Jeskai, good stuff. Yeah, it's just like whether you have Delver or not, it's all kind of similar to me.
It's only a matter of time until people start adding, Yori into that deck. I don't even know why, but yeah.
Yorion to give your Dragon Rage Channeler vigilance. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really bad, right? Especially with Murktide Regent. It's like, hey, you're a 3/3 now.
I'm pretty sure Yorion's most usability is just pitching to force, though. That's not bad.
Some people are going to do that. No, the extra card is worth it to me. I want to pitch it to force. See, this is how I play.
Yeah. And then they'll open with Ragavan every single game, still.
Francis has another question, which kind of ties into that. If at all, do you think the movement toward proxy events will change the offline-online deck selection difference? Because, it's much harder to switch your deck around offline just because of logistics, but also costs, whereas online, usually decks are way cheaper, and it's also much easier to switch. Do you think allowing proxies is gonna change that a lot?
I think you'll see things change, but towards both ends of the spectrum. So you'll stop seeing people playing random mid-range piles that stop being very good 6 or 12 months ago. I think you'll see people either use the opportunity to play the up-to-date tier 1 very, very good decks, whatever they may be, or you'll see people playing completely meme craziness like value shared fate nonsense or something, and they'll use this opportunity to I don't know. I've been sorting through my collection this afternoon, and I flicked through a Demonic Pact. I was like, holy shit, I can just play Demonic Pact by printing off proxies. So people will probably take this advantage to just play really weird stuff as well. So yeah, I think you're going to see both ends of the spectrum, and then what you actually see completely depends on the event. So if the event has good prizes, you'll probably see people try harder and not Demonic Pact and Shared Fate. But if it's a weekly like our London Tuesdays, yeah, I think so far people have been playing actually quite good decks, but I don't know. I think we need to step the meming up a little bit, but we'll see.
Yeah, for me, I'm already too lazy sometimes to put together a certain deck on Magic Online, even though I have infinite credit on Card Hoarder. I'm I have to get the list uploaded and then put it together and wait for the bot. And I'm let's just play Elves again. So in paper, I have Maverick here, and that's probably what I'm going to play for quite a while until it becomes unplayable. And I think that's going to take a while. I guess the actual difference comes from, for example, for me, when I have the desire to play something off the wall, I can just do that on Magic Online, play it for a couple of leagues, and then be done with it. Whereas if you don't have access to Magic Online, then your only outlet to play something crazy are those proxy events. And I think if you don't have access to Magic Online, then you might be more inclined to, try something out and have some fun with it. Whereas for me, I don't really have a desire to play something interesting or crazy in paper. I'm just there for the hangout on Magic to be played,
Yeah, that's very fair as well. Makes sense. I do have access to playing online as well, but I don't know. For me, I don't mind making a bit of an effort each week just to have a fun Tuesday. But so far, I've played like kind of normal stuff. I think I played Esperimental last week, Mono Blue Painter, and Madness. So kind of normal.
So which deck gave you the best result? Madness?
Yes, maybe 2-1 with Madness, 2-1 with Painter, and 1-2 with Esperimental. So clearly Brainstorm sucks is what I'm getting from this. Yeah,
this is what we're also getting from the Showcase Qualifier, right? We're going to get into that in a moment.
Yeah, true.
Before we have one last question from Franco Bolli. What is your birthday beer?
The best question.
Or beers?
Yeah. So I've just finished one called the Chicha Sour from House of Hamilton. I like all beers, as long as it's not lager, really. So I've just had like a very red, fruity chicha beer. And now I've moved on to a City of Cake chocolate fudge cake stout.
What the fuck is that? Isn't it a cake?
It's quite something. And then after this, I've got a Step Into Nitro Black IPA from Harbor Brewing. So I especially like sours and stouts, basically. But I mostly drink IPAs in pubs. So I don't know. Hit me. Bring it. I don't even have a favorite beer. So just whenever I'm in like a nice bar that sells those are different fancy ones, I'll try anything that I've not had before.
Have you tried Tusker?
I'm not sure. I never remember the names because I try all these different ones and then get drunk, so I don't remember which one I've had.
Tusker is the one from Kenya, like the big famous one. It has like an elephant with like tusks on it, and that's why it's called Tusker, and that's what everybody in Kenya apparently drinks. Like I've never tried it, but I know about it.
Oh, I see the picture. Doesn't look familiar. I don't think I have. You better get me some then.
I can actually try next time I'm down there.
Oh, it's a lager though. I'm not massive into lagers.
Oh, I have no idea what that means.
I need to introduce you to the joys of beer. I'll
like,
get you
for one second, I was also like, "Oh damn, yeah, it's a lager." I'm like, "What the fuck does it even mean?"
Lagers just, I don't know. They're not too bad, but they're kind of a bit watery and don't have a strong taste.
Okay.
I'll introduce you to chocolate fudge cake stout.
The only I think I told the story twice, but the only 2 times I've had beer, it was like given to me by millionaires, and like
I still
you'd
just
be the
can't
first
believe...
commoner to give me a beer.
Oh my god, you're calling me a commoner? I'm gonna get Francis to give you the beer then.
Yeah, we gotta call the Welsh nobility.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. So, what we want to look into in the next segment is the Legacy Showcase Qualifier and the results of that. And for those of you who don't know, which are probably going to be a lot of you, because even we had to look it up, and like technically we're supposed to know what it is because it comes around every 4 times a year or something. The Legacy Showcase Qualifier is part of a ladder of challenges and qualifiers that ultimately make you, I guess, the world champion. Because you have a Legacy Challenge, which are those weekly events. You top 8 one of those challenges. You qualify for the Legacy Showcase Challenge, which I think is once a month.
That's not quite right. No. So
I see, already off the race.
So weekly challenges are just challenges. You win prizes. Once per month, there's a Showcase Challenge, and you can only enter that with QPs, which are qualifier points. And then the top 8 of that all get an invitation to the Showcase Qualifier. No, wait, hold on.
To the Showcase Challenge.
No,
this
Showcase
is
Qualifier.
So fucked up. I can't believe that you're actually trying to explain
this.
The
Showcase Challenge, the top 8 all get an invite to the Showcase Qualifier.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And the normal challenges don't qualify you for anything. They just get you QPs if you top 8.
You know what? I want Mark Rosewat to come out and explain this to us.
I've got it. So Showcase Challenge, the top 8 of the Showcase Challenge qualifies you for the Showcase Qualifier. The Showcase Qualifiers are every... is it a month 3 months? Every 3 months. And they are small. They are roughly 27 players. It depends on... And there's last chance qualifiers the week before each one. And then, 27 players. And it's very, very top-heavy pricing. The top 8 get some stuff, whatever. But the first place person gets a Pro Tour invite and a Mox invite. And the Mox is minimum 7,000k or something, 5,000k.
No, it's 70,000k prize pool for the entire Mox.
Right.
For the entire, it's called a Champion Showcase. They change the name every 2 hours.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And it's going to be a really small event. That's only 8 players, and they split 70k between them. So I don't know what the first place price is going to be. Probably something like 30 or 40,000.
So the EV of it is crazy good. So try and get to that, people. You heard it here first. But that's the end goal. And so these things are very top heavy. And so we just had another one. And so if you want to get into one, it's very clear and very easy. They make it very easy for you. I think I had to explain this to you and like 3 or 4 other people.
Yeah, I think you've explained it to me like 5 times by now.
Yeah.
And I think for a moment, I think I understand it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually I was a responsible podcast host. I looked all of this up today when I wrote the show notes. And you know what's the most interesting thing to me? In the set championship, which is like the former Pro Tour that you qualify for when you win one of those showcase qualifiers, it actually says in the rules that if you can't stream your matches in the Champions Showcase, you will get disqualified. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, but I guess because it's an online thing, they have to be able to show all the matches, and if they can't...
But it's so crazy to me. Like, I mean, okay, Wizards has dropped out of those esports ambitions, but just the idea that because we didn't build a spectator mode into our client, we are now asking you to, like, you, the amateur streamer at best, we are asking you to stream your matches because we just don't have a spectator. This is like, you know, you have any kind of sport, say cycling, and then the organizers ask like all the cyclists to carry like a webcam and something. Hey, by the way, we need some pictures from the road, so you better carry this and you take care of it yourself and the Wi-Fi and everything. This is madness to me that this is how it works.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, everyone's been talking about this for ages. I've been seeing some very angry tweets from like big personalities. They're just like, how do you not get there? With these ambitions as well. If they didn't have the esports ambitions, like, you could kind of get it, but no.
Yeah, I mean, on the positive side, this is all going to be over at some point. I'm actually still surprised that people still like qualify for these things, but eventually it must run out, right? Eventually, like, these showcase qualifiers will like only qualify you for the mocks and nothing else, and yeah.
Well, there'll be Pro Tours still.
Really?
Probably.
I had no idea.
Yeah, actually completely forgot that they're scrapping everything. Let's wait and see. I have no idea either. I'm sorry, yeah.
Apparently, like, there's a thing going on this weekend where you can qualify for the World Championships, which apparently is also a thing. This is like so mad to me.
Oh,
you know
like
what?
MPL stuff.
Yeah, but let's not get into that.
yeah. Moving swiftly onwards.
Like, for like outside people to qualify, but I could be wrong.
Shall I do the classic Julian segue? And speaking of, we don't know what the fuck's going on. Should we go about the showcase qualifier?
The showcase qualifier, yeah, that was something. Like you mentioned, this is one of the highest stake events, but also like one of the highest levels of play you have on Magic Online, right?
The player list is like just wall to wall killers. Like, we had a lot of like legacy specialists in there, but we have a lot of just incredibly good at every single format players as well. We've got the list in front of us, and like you know, half of them are specialists. Just going from the top to bottom, we've got Ali, who's known for lands. We have JTL, who's Espivile. We've got Kadrian, who's Eli and Goblins. We have Michael Mapson, who's known for like depth decks. Kai, obviously Doomsday. Viverus, Tez, like Thomas Mechin on Bant control and stuff. And I think those are like the
one Eternal Weekend a couple of years ago.
Yeah. And Kento
like,
Hikori.
All of these are killers.
Known for
McWinsauce, I think, split the Eternal Weekend finals. Nathan Stir is like very famous. Phil Helmuth has won a bunch of bracelets on the World Series. Actually, that's not him, I know.
yeah. Well, the ones I just ran through are just known for their legacy prowess. I think all the others are just known for their Magic Online, especially prowess. Like, Steinason is god tier. I think someone added up he's won like 40 PTQs or something. I'm completely over exaggerating there, but he's definitely won.
Yeah, he's born like 38, and you're like, oh yeah.
No, it's like around 30 or just under. Like, he's been around forever, and it's just an absolute killer. So yeah, I can't shout at everyone, but everyone here is amazing.
When you win this many PTQs, isn't it like at some point you stop playing in PTQs because you're like auto qualified for every Pro Tour, or did you like bump out of all of them?
I think he's done well at a lot of PTs as well. I can't remember.
Yeah, this is just slander from my part. I have no idea.
yeah. I mean, also just going back to like the general good players. So Phil Helmuth is Sam Rolfe. He's actually a Welsh guy, and he's number one on the Magic Online leaderboard. And so the top 2 qualify you for the box. And so he was number 1, but by winning this, he auto qualifies himself. So then it drops down, and then Nathan Stir, he was number 2. So he's qualifying for the mocks. I think it passes down. And then I think, who was it? MZ Blazer is, I've forgotten his name now, sorry if you're listening, but super young, but absolute killer as well. Milan something. And,
that guy?
Yeah.
I think he
top
became famous when he was like even younger, and he won like a Legacy PTQ at a Legacy
top 8. Oh no, he won a Legacy PTQ with Blue White Blade at the one that Daniel Gertschel won. So yeah, I think he's number 3rd on the like Magic Online leaderboard. These players are just insanely good at every single format they touch. Like I see them always like tweeting they're winning like back-to-back PTQs, it feels like, or top 8ing at least. So yeah, anyway, what we're trying to in a roundabout say is this event was hard, like really hard. And so anyone that top 8'd in this field is doing something right.
Yeah, and it's amazing because we have so much information about this event. I was trying to look it up on the Wizards website, but they don't have the lists up yet. But Joe Dyer's data collection group, support them on patreon.com/legacy data collection. They put together, not all the deck lists, but all the archetypes and win percentages for this event, 27 people. And surprise, surprise, most played deck, Blue Red Diver with 8 copies. That's like 30% of the meta. Second most played deck, it drops down quite a lot. Death in Texas with 3 copies. Jeskai Ragavan Saga on 2 copies. Bant Control 2 copies. Lands 2 copies. Green White Depth 2 copies. And then everything else is a one-off. And what really stuck out to me in this event is that Diver has an abysmal win percentage. And
it's
yes,
so
I know
bad.
sample size is rather small, but it's still like it's by far the most played decks. It played a reasonable amount of games. It's supposed to be really, really good, right? And it's basically, well, I want to call it the worst deck in the entire field because the only other decks that are below it are one-offs like Omnitel and an unknown deck. Blue Red Diver had a win percentage of 30%.
For what it's worth, the unknown deck, they didn't play. They signed up for prizes and dropped after round one, into round 1.
I see.
So yeah, only Omnitel did worse with 1 deck, actually.
Yeah.
Which
and
is
the sample size for
beating.
Blue Red Diver, so it's altogether it's 39 matches, so almost 40 matches, and it had a win percentage of 30%. And
well, let's dive into this a bit because this is like we can go over the other stuff in a second, but this is the most interesting like takeaway and like why is it so low? Because the players are obviously good; they've all qualified for this, and we know that the good players played it. First of all, Delver just has a huge target on its head, and like looking at some of the lists coming out, like people were like gunning for it. For example, Eli with Goblins, he top 8'd. He had a main deck Pyroblast. It's just like one example I could see. I think a lot of people were just building to beat Delver, and a lot of the Delvers themselves were main decking 2 Pyroblasts, I think. Stanison was actually, you'll love this. You've been saying for a while, what point does it get to where Delver starts to drop the Forcibles for the mirror? He had 3 Forcibles main, 1 on the sideboard.
See,
yeah. He was actually
profit.
So Stanison was like, I think he was. Oh, it says Jessica Ragavan Saga. I thought he played Delver, but just splashing white for Source of Plowshares. I'll have to check it out. But anyway, like people were very clearly massively metagaming against Delver. So I think it's some parts that. It's some parts like, yeah, they had a lot of games. It's still a small field and it's still a small sample size. Although I really hate that kind of that throwy offy. It's a small sample size. I wouldn't really read into it too much. It still matters. We still had very good players playing this thing. So yeah, it massively underperformed. Do you have any other like reasons why you think it underperformed?
Not too much, really. Like this is really the kind of tournament where it really pays off to metagame really hard because you gotta hit the good end of variance, right? The first place is just so much more important than anything else, so you're not gonna really get to any place you want to be without like being massively lucky. And part of that is like building your deck in a way that you can take advantage of matchups that you really prepared yourself for. So any like middle of the road approach is probably not the best way to go. I think Ali also mentioned that he heavily skewed his sideboard for, was it non-combo? I would need to look up his list again, but I think that this is like, especially in a field as small as this with such top-heavy price payout, it makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. I'm just putting up. So he had 3 blasts, 3 endurance, 3 force of vigor, 2 choke, 4 sphere of resistance. So yeah, I guess he has some combo hate still. But regardless, I mean, it's very, very easy to say this now, like in hindsight. But looking at this field,
that's why we are a podcast, you know. We can always just
we
be
sound
like,
so smart.
We explain the word to you. It's so easy.
But like, it's no secret that Death and Taxes has been doing incredibly well recently, and it's Death and Taxes has always been one of these decks where when Delver gets really good, it pops its head up and it crushes them for a bit, but then Delver starts to play like 2 Blazing Volleys and a Null Rod, and then it starts to beat them again. But Death and Taxes hasn't let up this time. It's still beating Delver, and it's proven this again. And like XJ keeps winning events as well, and Jason, who's Luanil, like he just consistently crushing with the deck as well. So I don't know. Maybe this is the time that Death and Taxes actually breaks through, because I do feel like it keeps like putting its head up, like, hey, we're really good, and then Delver does the Delver thing where it puts like 3 or 4 good sideboard cards and readjusts. But I don't know.
Yeah, I guess at this point, but before we move forward, we should actually mention, right, that the entire event was won by Phil Hellmuth, or I guess his real name is Sam Rolfe, on Death and Taxes theory.
Oh yeah, we should say the results, shouldn't we? Professional podcast is here. Yeah, why don't you give us a rundown of the top 8?
Yeah, so top 8, first place, Phil Hellmuth on Death and Taxes. Second place, Ali on Lands. Third place, Nathan Stir on Blue-Red Delver. Fourth place, McWinsource on Band Control. Fifth place, Burarun on, well, it only says Standstill. This could be like many different things.
I was told it had Stifle Days and Ragavan, so...
Oh, okay, so it's basically the Chess Guy Ragavan deck we also have in 6th place by Steinarson. 7th place, Chet Lin, known as JTL005 on Esperwild, surprise, surprise. And 8th place, we have Ida going on Goblins.
Oh, yeah. Fucking Goblins pulling up again. And for what it's worth, the Jeskai Ragavan saga, like, I'm looking at the list now, it doesn't have sagas in. It's just blue-red, it's just blue-white-red-white. Jeskai, there we go. Delver without the
Does it have,
Delvers.
like, Timeless Dragon?
No. It's just Murktide Regent.
How does it take advantage of the standstill then?
It doesn't have standstills. The 6th place list.
The Ragavan list. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, okay. Oh, wow. So no sagas, no standstills. So
it's just like Jeskai Delver without Delver.
Yeah. Okay,
like four Murktides, 4 Ragavans, 4 Dragon Rage Channeler, cantrips with 4 expressive iteration, and then forces, swords, days, bolts.
If you don't have standstills, you can have even more reason to drop the forces, because now you
Yeah, looks pretty good. There's even a Ghost Scorcher in the sideboard. My God. Yeah.
Definitely smart. I like that.
Sweet. But yeah, so, I mean, again, so back to what I was saying, in hindsight, it's very easy to say this, but I don't know, in this field, which I think was quite easy to predict, but still hard to build a deck for, D&T and Lands, fantastic choices, and it's not really surprising to see them in the final, especially in the hands of such amazing players. So, there was 3 non-blue decks in the top 8, and most of the rest of the event was blue decks. There was another Lands, another D&T, and then a green-white, two green-white depths. Yeah, and then the third D&T. Still, like, that's just under half the decks top 8ing. It's a pretty good win rate for the non-cantrip decks.
I just want to see Murphy come out again. And the thing is, like, it's probably like too crazy because you can't really stop the broken stuff, and you're also probably like really behind against stuff. Yeah, actually, scratch that.
I think right now everyone's like packing Pyroblast everywhere because of Murktide Regent as well. Mm. But its time will come. Maybe that's why I play tomorrow for our local store.
We will see. Okay, we got a question regarding the metagame from one of our patrons.
Slid Sikorowski.
Sometimes I wonder, like, maybe you're supposed to read it backwards and make sense. Iskarowski. Okay. Anyway, question being, sorry, why do you think non-blue has done well recently? And do you think it will continue, or will the blue decks just adjust and be back on top? You already hinted at, like, they were changing 1 or 2 sideboard cards and coming back.
I didn't even see this question before saying that. Well, like, it's been a kind of a cycle that's been going on for a long time, like I said, where, it very often is just like throw a Null Rod in there whenever an artifact deck becomes good or something. But I don't know, it's just really struggling with the D&T. So I'm actually not sure. It's hard to predict. What do you think, Julian?
Well, the thing is about especially D&T, I think it's really time to properly respect it again, because something like when I watch streams and when I talk to people, everybody's like, yeah, but come on, like, it's still D&T. It's like, oh, lads, it's Tottenham, that kind of that thing. And I think you gotta respect it. And I think at this point, with D&T being played this much, maybe even more so on paper, but also on Magic Online, because it's by far the cheapest competitive, like really competitive deck out there, we're not going to see few of this. Especially, people love Yoria and they want to play that. And when a deck has like very good content creators like XJ, they naturally draw in more people to play it. So I think we're only ever going to see more D&T. And that makes it so that it makes a lot of sense to have like some better hate for D&T. And I think if you are in black, or you can splash black, then I think cards like, Virtuous Ruin maybe even.
Holy shit. Not even Plague Engineer. I was waiting for you to say Plague Engineer. I was like, oh yeah.
No.
You're going hard. Okay, everyone just, like, we can go for Nature's Ruin as well, right? Just get those elves out there.
Yeah, I'm just like trying to see, is there anything you might actually want Nature's Ruin against? And for those who don't know, by the way, Virtuous Ruin and Nature's Ruin, they are like 3 mana, 2 colors in the black. You destroy all green or white creatures.
Yeah, so Virtue is the white and green, and Nature's the... No, other way around.
Virtue's
the white, Nature's the green. Yeah, that is a nuclear bomb you want to drop, okay.
Yeah, either that or Dread of Night. The thing about Dread of Night is, though, like, you can still like easily Skyclave Apparition it, and the Skyclave Apparition doesn't even die while you do it. So I'm so-and-so on that card, but I think something like... by the way, bonus points. If you get Virtuous Ruin, you can even bring it in. But okay, it's really bad to kill Progenitors. Destroy all white creatures against elves, yeah. But technically,
Oh my god, yeah. Technically, I mean, it can happen.
But yeah, this is if you struggle a lot with that deck and you want something, it's probably more like for the control decks because it's still 3 mana after all. Delver is probably still gonna go down the Blazing Volley and stuff road. Yeah. But maybe there's some tricks. Maybe there's some ways that Delver can adapt that I'm not even thinking about.
What do you think about other non-D&T, non-blue decks and their placing?
They should play Aven Mindcensor because it stops Recruiter of the Guard and Stoneforge, and I think that's really good.
No, I mean, like, what do you think of the placing? Like, how good are some other non-blue, but also things? I think Green-White Depths is very good.
You know what I think is really good that nobody talks about? That literally nobody talks about?
Should I try and guess?
That people should be talking about? That really everybody should be talking about that nobody talks about?
Zoo?
Yeah, right, Sue. I'm gonna attack you with my card ape. You got me.
Yeah,
no, seriously, Black Red Reanimator.
Yeah,
I think that's really good. I think that's really, really good.
Like, if you go against control, they're just like endurancing you and stuff. I guess you can fight through it. It's not the end of the world.
But the thing is, like, ever since like I started playing that deck for like LPL almost 2 years ago, and then, like Eric gave me that crash course on how to play the deck, it really opened up my eyes to understand that the deck is surprisingly grindy. Like it had the stigma of, oh, you're just like a more sophisticated Belcher deck, whereas the deck is really decent at grinding and exploring your weaknesses and what you can do and what you can't do, especially in the first game. Surprise, right? Reanimated deck first game really good, but I think that deck can really go places, and I'd love to see more of it. Maybe maybe I'm actually going to play it tonight.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, yeah, I also just hate discard-based combo decks against Ragavan. Like when Ragavan hits and takes a discard spell, it feels pretty bad.
That's true. Yeah. It's probably like a place you don't want to be. You don't want to be hit by Ragavan. Actually, when I played the deck, I played against a similar deck, and I think I got to reanimate that Grizzlebrand twice.
Oh yes, yeah, there we go. When I was playing Lantern at the local game store, I played that as well, didn't I? Yeah, played Lantern twice. I played against Dragon a few times, and they kept hitting like Inquisitions and Thoughtseizes. I was like, oh, fuck's sake, taking my Incendiary Bridges and stuff. It's quite rough playing discard into that.
I think Eric is also doing really well with the deck on match. Isn't he like the trophy leader again?
He is though, yeah. So he's probably proving it. So yeah, you could be right. Like maybe I'm just like making things up like usual.
The thing is just like I like the idea of playing that deck against like all these quote-unquote control decks that are more like mid-range control, like Bant control, and even the Cheskai Ragavan control. Like the Ragavan is definitely a problem for the deck, like you mentioned. Mm-hmm. If it hits discard, it's bad for you, even though like half your discard they can't even cast because it's going to be like Unmask and what's the other, Grief, I think it's called.
Yeah.
But overall, I want to do that. And then like all the mid-range stuff, all the non-blue stuff, I don't think people have all that much graveyard. Like, why would you have graveyard hate these days? Like, look at this event. Which deck do you want, like, proper graveyard hate against?
Yeah, it's true. Nothing, I don't think.
I think I also recently, like, downgraded my graveyard hate quite a lot in the Elves in the sideboard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think people are at this point, you're probably onto something here. People are at this point where the green decks are banking on endurance to do all the heavy lifting. And then, I don't know, there's probably like...
That's somewhat similar to like what Eric said when he said like, hey, when Deathrite Shaman was around, people were so reliant on Deathrite Shaman, which is like, inherently slow. That he did really well with Deathrite, like Red Reanimator during the Deathrite era.
Yeah, I can see it. Maybe give it a go. Let me know how you get along. I'm going to wait for your screenshot to send me of like, yeah, I play against Ragavan. They hit like reanimate to take my thing that I entombed play around days.
Who knows? Yeah. Do you have any thoughts about other non-blue decks that could be doing well, like Painter or something, or Madness?
So both decks, like, I think have potential. They're both like kind of tier 2. Madness, I think, just suffers the problem with it does incredibly powerful stuff. Like, you can sometimes be attacking for 15 on turn 1 and stuff, and it does have the power level. It just sometimes does kind of like fold to itself. Like, sometimes you mulligan a bit too much, or sometimes your random discards just hit the wrong things, and it's kind of weak to Source of Plowshares a lot of the time. Not like Hogat could grind through Source of Plowshares quite easily by just playing like loads of 2/2s to the board. This one, you're like relying on Vengevines and Hollow Ones to kind of get the damage. So, I don't know. It's a good deck. It's powerful. It's definitely something to be respected. It has a lot of grinding power as well. Just playing it recently, I didn't realize how, I was gambling for Ox of Agonis very often, and then you like LED discard some random stuff in your hand. You play the Oxes quite easily. And then with all the cantrips, or like the Faithless Looting and the Burning Inquiries, you do find what you want and gambles. So I was quite surprised by how well it can play like a slow game against control decks. But yeah, it's kind of weak to like Snap, Sword, Snap. Sword, Snap, Swords. That way around.
Is that still a card, Snapcaster?
Yeah, people play it, I think.
I hear it's coming back.
Yeah. Yeah, because Source of Plowshares and Prismatic Ending are so good. It's actually got really good targets to flashback. Mm-hmm. And then Painter, I don't know. It's fine. It doesn't like to see loads of lightning bolts, honestly, and that's about it. And so it was kind of... I've been actually really enjoying playing blue because main deck Hydroblasts are fantastic right now. Like almost every single deck's playing red of some kind. Like obviously Ragavan and Dragon Rage Challenge everywhere. So I think that's pretty legit. And I think Hydroblast is actually better than Pyroblast in the Painter deck. But after that...
Is it? Huh.
Yeah. Well, currently in the format, I think. Mm-hmm. Because there's just... you just care less about the blue cards than you do the red cards. But it's still... I
guess the blue card I care about the most is Murktide Regent. That card is so good.
It is. I don't know if this is even a hot take anymore, but I think it's actually better than Dragon Rage Channeler and Ragavan. It's absurd.
I guess it's still somewhat of a hot take. Like, there's actually like a really interesting debate on like Magic Twitter and everywhere between those three cards, because you have people making the case for all of those three cards, and then I literally couldn't tell you what my opinion is on that.
To be fair, they're all ridiculously good, and so it could change any minute. Like if Red Painter becomes tier 1 all of a sudden, then yeah, Murktide gets worse. But maybe I think this is actually just my emotion speaking. I just keep listening to that Murktide. It's just... it's so ridiculous. It's like
Murktide is really weird in the sense, like, these games that we used to have like against like Canadian Threshold, where like the game goes back and forth. You think you're like in an okay position, and then they really exhaust all their resources, like literally all their resources, to put 2 Tarmogoyfs to the table, and then like hit you twice with those. I feel like with Murktide, that's like one fewer card that I actually need to invest, and it still hits just as hard and kills you like in 2 swings most of the time. Yeah, and that's scary about the card.
It's just it's just so big. Like I played against it on last week, and they just go play 1, and next turn play another one, make it 10.
Okay,
10,
that's excessive. Like you don't even need the second one very often.
The first one was lethal. The second one made it lethal.
So you're saying it killed you like on the first attack even?
Yeah.
I see.
They played 1 on like turn 3 or 4.
That's actually insane.
And then the second one exiled 5 more things. So anyway. So cool. I do think Green-White Depths is quite good, though. Since Blue-Red Delvers just cut their Brazen Borrowers, there's just not a lot of removal from Merit Age. And Green-White gets access to like Swords and Prismatic Ending, which are, again, really good against Delver. Knight is still very against Delver. There's like... Basic lands are very strong in the format right now, and Delver's even sometimes cutting down on Wastelands. But, Knight is just like Wastelanding decks out. It still happens as well. So I'm kind of high on the idea of Green-White Depths. I just haven't played it myself. So, yeah, that's one on my radar, I think.
Now you're getting me excited for Maverick. Like I love like wastelanding out people with Knight and like like Script Ranger and stuff. And oh my god, Script Ranger blocks Murktide Regent.
It does.
Protection Blue. Easy game.
It gets bolted, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
who plays Bolt?
I hear there's other creatures in the deck that get bolted too.
That's a very fair argument. Yeah.
Cool. So moving on, we get another question from Nevershoot. Surprise, surprise, it's about Storm.
No.
Why did Ad Nauseam Tendrils disappear almost entirely? Popular explanation was the printing of Veil of Summer, but seeing how little a card sees play, it seems like a straw man.
Yeah, I don't buy the Veil argument either. It's, I don't know, I'm taking a bit of a stab in the dark here, but it's multiple things, obviously. One, I think the main thing is Ant has always prided itself on being this very grindy deck. It plays slowly. It's going to disrupt you with some hand disruption. It has the explosive potential to kill you, like in the first couple of turns, of course, as well, which you need to be able to have these free wins in the Legacy format. But I think Legacy is just sped up by like half a turn over the last couple of years, and that has really hurt Ant because their average kill turn is like 3 or 4, and the difference between that is it's pretty astronomical. Like if they're averaging that still, but other decks are just killing you faster, and like other combo decks just keep getting new cards and kill you faster. I think that's part of it. So a bit slower. The grinding just isn't as good as well. Like Past in Flames is always a trump against blue decks, but now Force Negation really hurt the power of Past in Flames, and that was their main thing. Like Ant was always a Past in Flames deck, not an Ad Nauseam deck. So that's probably a little bit of part of it as well. Endurance mustn't help there as well. After that, I don't know. I think some of the better Ant players like have moved on to Doomsday, like Martin as well, and Kai, for example, and a few others. Doomsday is obviously just I think it is a better deck. But,
it's way better, I would say.
Yeah, and I don't know. These people just like Dark Ritual decks. They don't need to be tied to Ant. And I think it shows good player growth to be able to go from deck to deck, but still stay in your micro archetype or something. But
I think with regards to Veil of Summer, I think the way I understood the reasoning, the argument, but that was already like something that happened more than last summer ago, was that just because Veil existed, people didn't want to play the deck. Like initially, I remember a lot of people being like, "Oh, Veil is really good in Ant," but it's also really good against it. And then people stopped playing Ant, and then nobody really went back and picked it up again, even though Veil of Summer kind of disappeared from the format outside of, I guess, the Epic Storm.
I agree.
And
yeah.
So there could be a place for Ad Nauseam Tendrils. The only thing is it really worth it? Because Doomsday is just so much better against the field. And yes, Doomsday is, from what I understand, significantly worse against Delver. But that's really pretty much it. I think in one of our Legacy chats, we talked about like how the Doomsday group released their win percentage. And against Delver, it was like really, really bad.
Yeah.
But then their overall win percentage was like absurdly high, between 60 and 70%. Yeah. And that already factors in the really low win percentage against Delver, which is also the deck they play against the most. So if you were to look at their win percentage against non-Delver decks, it would need to be even higher than that. And I mean, there's probably some bias because that's just like the way, on average, people report the data. But there's still some truth to it. And I wouldn't be surprised if Doomsday had like the highest win percentage against the field, against the non-Delver field in all of Legacy. And it's kind of hard to like go from there to Ad Nauseam just to increase your Delver matchup. Ad Nauseam Tendrils, that is.
Yeah, I totally agree. People just aren't. Yeah, they're not really playing it, are they? So I don't know. Yeah, it seems. I think it's a lot better than people led on. It's probably weaker to Veil. I mean, the thing is, Veil is still really, really good against it, and so it's the threat, right? So you could bring Ant back, and it could be very good right now. There have been some challenge top 8s over the last few months, and it was with I don't remember the name, but an Italian guy who had Dark Confidence in the sideboard. Like, that's a great way to fight Veil, because you need this way to fight like card advantage of some kind. But I don't know. Veil is this problem. It's like a thorn in the side that's not hurting you enough to actually have to properly take it out, but it's there. It sucks when it gets played against you, and you do have to grind through it, and it's hard. You need to play like Defense Grid or City of Solitude or something to really get through it.
Something I see quite a lot is that people play Peer into the Abyss instead of Ad Nauseam.
That's true, yeah.
The lists look pretty much like the normal ANT lists, but they just like play Peer into the Abyss. I don't know if that's gonna become the new standard for the deck. At which point we should really like look into renaming it.
Yeah,
it's like Peter Tendrils or something.
P Tendrils, yeah. I think Marcus was playing a lot of it. It's just like blue black Jax as well. he's always there at the front of like combo innovation. I think he was playing at tons a while ago, and I think I streamed the Jarvis quite like 6 months ago at least, like just a straight blue-black kind of control deck. It had Thoughtseize, Force of Will, Daze, Baleful Strix, and then all you need is like a Peer into the Abyss and off 7 mana, and then you usually win. So it's quite cool. Marcus was then like adding in Pact of Negations and stuff, so you can beat Delver quite well with them.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that could totally be the approach to it. Yeah,
I mean that's also like basically the Doomsday approach right now, right? That Kai is pioneering. He's got like 4 forces in the main deck, and then like between the main and the side 4 Pact of Negations and 4 Force of Negations. Like he has like basically 12 0 mana counters in the deck if he wants to.
Seems good.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah. Another question about an archetype that hasn't really put up a lot of numbers lately, coming to us from Achilles. Why do you believe Elves has not performed well in online tournaments or paper tournaments from what I have seen lately? The lower levels of Plague Engineer and Sweepers would seem to lend itself to a good environment for the deck.
Quickly, I'm going to say I agree, and I don't understand why we're not seeing more of it as well. But you're much better suited to answer.
Yeah, I thought you could answer that because I'm also not sure.
Yeah, it's hard. I think Achilles, your reasoning makes total sense, and I honestly don't know either.
But at least like the easy answer, but I don't know whether that's like a really good answer, is that probably like not a lot of people are playing it. Like when you see the people who top 8, it's always like the same numbers, right? It's always like the same names, and overall, I don't know. Maybe it's just like not a lot of people are playing. I think Newton is also not playing a lot. At least I don't see him in the challenges. I haven't played a lot of challenges. I think who else are like that? Testacular plays a lot of challenges actually, but he's usually finishing like top 16, top 32.
He's middling. He's still very, very solidly doing well, and like at least winning more matches than losing. But hasn't been on his hot streak like he was for a while, where he just like consistently won for a while. Yeah, I don't know.
But the thing for me is, I think I played it on the challenge on the weekend. I started out like 3-0 or 4-0. I managed to beat JPA. Hey, and JPA played the craziest deck. He played like a rock 1-drop deck. He literally played all the famous rock 1-drops. He even had like Nimble Mongoose and stuff. That was hilarious. I loved that. But when it went wrong for me, I kept running into like show and tell decks, and I think I lost like a really tight one to Delver. I mean, that can always happen. But then I got destroyed by I think 2 show and tell decks, and the ad nauseam Peer into the Abyss deck, and that made me go and just like put in a ton of combo hate into my sideboard, and that's part of why I dropped so many graveyard hate cards. Like I went back from Leyline, now I'm playing like a lot of Discard and Surgical, which is like so much better against most combo decks. And yeah, like if you press me for an answer, I would say one part is that Delver is always much worse against Elves is much worse against Delver than people think. The upside is that you can always like you literally don't care about the Ragavan connects. Like you hate it that they get the extra mana, but whatever they reveal, you almost want them to spend the mana on that instead of like Ponder or anything else. But I guess that's the upside. But I still have to fully understand the matchup then, because when Ragavan isn't that relevant, why do I still lose like a significant amount of matches to them? And usually the answer is, what's his name? Murktide Regent. And that's why I'm playing a couple of copies of Runnerfowl in the sideboard, because it also helps a lot against, any of the Dark Depth decks. It's just really awkward when they get you like with a Ragavan and Construct draw and have some more stuff on the ground, and you're sitting there with Runnerfowl for like 1 or 2 turns too many. So yeah, I guess one point is that other than Death and Taxes, Elves doesn't have that many great... Yeah, actually, that's a really good thing, now that I think about it. There's very few decks where I feel like, yes, I won the matchup lottery with Elves. There's... People are not really playing Stoneblade decks. People are not playing like these Maverick-esque decks, these... All these like non-blue, not very good grindy mid-range decks. Those are not really a thing right now, and that's usually where Elves shines.
Yeah, even
goblins. I get destroyed by goblins left and right these days. My win percentage of goblins is abysmal with Elves right now, and that's really not what it used to be.
Yeah, that makes sense, because they were always preying on like the especially very heavy blue-white based control decks and just outgrinding them. But they've turned into these like kind of Daisy, Lightning Bolty, standstill decks. Is the control. So yeah,
the standstill is not even the thing. Like standstill, you can very easily beat, especially if you have discard and stuff. But like when I look at the challenge for here, like which decks do I want? Which decks do I actually feel good about playing against with Elves? That's Death and Taxes, And then I look at the rest, and all the other ones I don't feel actively like favored. There's tons of decks where I feel like super even, whether it's like Standstill, basically everything except for maybe Lands is really bad for you. Doomsday is really bad for you. Omnitel is really bad for you. The Epic Storm, if you like with the average sideboard, is also bad for you. There's on average, like the matchups suck.
Do you think
the average matchup against the field is not great?
Do you think there's more combo in Legacy currently?
The thing is, like, we don't see a lot of graveyard combo, so I like we see a decent amount of combo like we usually do, but since there's not so much graveyard combo, I think there's still like we see more permanent combo based stuff. There's even also like these Mystic Forge combo decks. We see more, I guess, Enchantress, even though that's like a good matchup for Elves. I guess we see less graveyard combo and more like permanent and spell based combo, and that's kind of hard to beat for Elves.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay, so I think we kind of found the answer a little bit in the weeds.
Yeah,
but tough. Good question, because I was kind of stumped.
Good question.
Yeah.
So to close it out, because we already looked at the Showcase Qualifier, which only had 27 players, I also got the metagame and the win rates from the last 3 challenges. So I got the one from this weekend. I think the one from Sunday is still missing, but we got the one from Saturday and from the week before. And I sorted it by win percentage. So when you look at the best performing decks of those 3 weekends, I think you can usually ignore the ones that have very few players, like 1, 2, 3 or something.
Yeah, so all the top ones have 1 or 2.
Yeah, and that's usually somebody like who was like the only person playing that deck, and they went to the top 8 because they have like 75% win percentage. That's like Maverick, Bomberman, and the Epic Storm, but that's just like one person playing it. That's not really something you read too much into.
Yeah.
Is there anything that sticks out to you in those numbers, like of the decks that have a little bit more people playing them?
Yeah, wow, Bant controlled it badly. Holy moly. So on Saturday, it was 42%. On Saturday, the 14th, was, it's at the bottom, 30%. And on the Saturday 15th was 46%. It's pretty bad showing of like what people were touting as one of the best decks a month ago. I mean, again, this is just like 3 sets of results, but I know there's like 4 players and 6 players and 2 players for the 46. Yeah, that doesn't look great. I guess people are just realizing playing more Pyroblast probably beat it, and like more Murktide Regents and stuff.
I guess part of that is also that Endurance isn't as good anymore now that the Devil players are playing Unholy Heat, which kills it as a 1-for-1 trade. That's
a good point. Yeah, very good point. The Jeskai Ragavan Saga deck seem to be doing very well. Like very, very well.
That's the one I wanted to point out, because I think all the other ones, it's kind of hard to say something about them. Like, yes, Doomsday is like decent stuff, but that's not too many people playing it.
Because I'm trying to pick out the ones that have a bunch of players. Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually the most played deck in the first challenge, and it is sitting on a 55% win rate. In the second challenge, it has like 4 people playing it. It's at 65%, and the last one, 7 people played it, and they were like close to 60%. That's probably the best performing deck out of those 3 weekends.
Yeah,
like once you apply a certain threshold of number of people playing it.
Yeah, if I was a player and like kind of I guess top tier Magic Online grinder, and I was able to play any deck, I'd be looking at this thinking, this set of data tells me that this is the deck to play currently. I guess the conventions of naming, this is the mid-range deck without Delver, with the Sagas, maybe with Standstill. I don't see if there's a difference.
I can call it Archon Pile. He's been pushing that.
Yeah. Just
I like cards. That, yeah.
I just have a thing about people calling their own decks after their names. Moving swiftly onwards. Yeah, great performance.
When are we going to see Callum Pile?
Never in my life.
Every single deck you play is a Callum Pile.
The moment someone calls it something Callum Pile, I'm just going to never play the deck again.
You're going to move on?
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, deck seems great. It's continuing to perform. It doesn't really have any natural weaknesses, does it? It attacks from different angles. Like, it has the turn 1 Ragavan with counter magic backup threat, like, especially in the blue mirrors and stuff. As a Saga, it really does go over the top of some things. Like, the grinding potential with that card, fetching up Retrofits of Foundry, is really strong against other control decks. And it just, like, it operates on this axis that Delver's always had for years, and control decks were like so jealous of, where Delver's card advantage is operating off like 3 or less lands, and it can afford to operate off those lands and like play exactly the game it wants to play. Whereas Control was always having to go over the top with more expensive spells historically, but now your win conditions are Saga and like Dragon Rage Challenger if they're playing it, and Ragavan and Murktide Regent. And so they don't need to go above 3 or 4 lands now. They're happy to just stay at this land count. I mean, Saga is like a land that sacrifices, for example. So yeah, they are now these like grindy control decks that don't need to make land drops, and so are having this card advantage in the same way. So I guess that's where like a lot of their power is coming from, I think.
Yeah, what I like about the deck, I played that actually quite a lot, is the synergy between Ragavan and the Sagas. Because one thing about the Sagas very often is you feel put in a position where you could actually do something good, like Stifle or Fetchland or whatever, but you don't really, because you also want to make a token. But once Ragavan comes in, it actually gives you that extra Lotus Battle. You very often can do both. Mm-hmm. And that's just like really cool. And you already mentioned, right, how Saga as a land you can't really rely on. Eventually it's going to go away. And Ragavan is somewhat fixing that. And for just like 1 mana, that's really sweet. And then like, this is like the base 0, right? This is your floor, kind of, except for like if it gets Caracast, right? Then it's really bad. But this is your floor. And then you have that extra thing where if you play against blue decks, and I guess there might also be a couple of non-blue decks where it has like decent stuff you can hit. Like I've heard Eddie mention that it's a really big deal if you hit Sylvan Library against lands. But yeah, it's just like so good in the blue mirror, right? Mm-hmm. And I guess this is where you want to be. So if I was to come to it and be like, okay, how do we exploit this deck? I always want to be in that position where I just overwhelm it with like something. It's like, okay, I know that you kind of can do everything, but your hand like right now is like 2 Ponders and a Saga, and those eventually are going to do something, but we're going to do something now, and you better be ready for it. And this is like where I keep going back to something like Madness, or I don't know, something that closes the game before the machinery can kick in. On
paper, D&T seems like a perfect counter to this.
Yeah, D&T is annoying. When I played that, D&T was really annoying. I think I didn't really understand the matchup. I think I still don't fully understand the matchup. But I remember that D&T was annoying, in Wild especially. And I felt I didn't really have very good counterplay against D&T, especially in that color combination.
Yeah, this is like Vile is obviously good against control decks. Then you have Thalia is stopping most of their deck down. You have the Wastelands and Ports for the Sagas. You have Flickerwisp for the tokens. You have Caracas and blockers like for Ragavan. Yeah, like everything kind of lines up well. So I'd love to see. Maybe I should find out if we can get the information on like what the actual matchup percentage is for each side.
You can get that from the data collection group, and I think I actually looked into that. But at that point, the data like gets really thin. So you would actually really need to combine like a couple of events to get some deep insight into that. Otherwise, you're looking at like, they played like 5 matches, and like one deck went 4-1, which sounds really great. But then you just like you change one match and it's like 3-2, which is like super close.
No, you need like I guess 20 matches to start to make conclusions. But
this is, by the way, something that I would love to see the data collection group doing. I mean, it's all their thing, right? And they wanna like get support for that.
Yeah,
I would love to see if they like at the end of a month put it all together and put it out there.
I believe they are expanding their data. So Viverus, who's Alex, who plays like of Tez fame, who writes for the epicstorm.com, I believe he's getting involved, and he's
good. Blackbelcher.com.
Yeah, exactly. He's good with data, I believe, so he's going to be helping out with things. Don't quote me on it, but I think that's what's happening. So maybe we can talk to him and see if that's something they could do, because I'd love to see that as well. Because people love seeing data, but people like me, I'm terrible with understanding data unless it's very simplified. And I love looking at this. It's color coded. I can see green is good, red is bad, and I can see the actual numbers. And like this is the win rate I like to see. Otherwise, pouring through too much data, my brain starts to fizzle a bit, and
by the way, Monochrome Cloudpost is also doing horribly. I just noticed, like, it has 4 players in the first 2 events, and the third event it doesn't even show up.
It's at the top. The third event is at the top. Third top deck.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Never mind. So the first 2 events it got slaughtered, and the third event.
First 2 is like 40% and 36%, and then 62. I mean, this is like a good perfect example to kind of segue into saying, yeah, the results, we're drawing conclusions from it, but it is still one event with 4 players. Like one person losing a win and in off like a very good top deck or an unlucky play or whatever can stop them top 8ing, and then the like getting 3 more results or wins from it and stuff. It's all very small margins. I'm kind of making something up there, but this is the eternal problem with Magic data. We don't have enough to like make conclusions that people will ever take seriously, so we extrapolate what we can. So we're extrapolating the data, but again, don't be like, if you're a post player and you hear Julian callously saying, "Ha, look at them and they're 40%." It's just one weekend, but we take and we make conclusions and assumptions where we can.
You know what I would also love to see? I'm just like seeing that in the data right now, and I'm not like drawing the conclusion from the data because it's only one person playing. It was just like a deck that popped back into my mind. That's Eldrazi. Eldrazi is basically the thing that I just described, where you put too much pressure on your opponent, so they can't really like unfold their amazing game plan the way like Jeskai Ragavan maybe could.
I'd completely forgotten that deck existed. Completely.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Me too.
I was happy.
Like, you just get in there with like a smasher and another smasher, and maybe it's not good enough because it's like better.
It's bad against Saga. Like if they make a 6/6 construct, you're just like, it can't be a 6/6. That was always the problem. Like, I don't know. Maybe
past like big creatures.
Like Chalice is prismatic ending is good against Chalice, but I don't know.
Really good.
Yeah, but Delver's kind of not playing it, but the
Enchantress is up there as well. Like we see Spatula of the Ages doing reasonably well with that.
And he's playing that really sweet new card from the new set, Druid's class.
No. It's Paladin class.
Paladin class, yeah, pretty cool.
It basically 4 spikes everything your opponent plays on your turn.
Yeah,
and then it pumps your creatures, but for like I think is it just like 1 mana and making everything cost 1 mana more on your turn for the opponent.
Yeah, it costs 1 white mana, and I think non-creature spells cost 1 more on your turn. So basically the same, yeah. And then
Vendilion Click Dam gets busted.
Yeah, or Endurance maybe. But yeah, you're right. And then it gives double strike and pump stuff on the later things, which I don't know, seem like flavor text, but I've watched we have a guy called Alex in our local group who absolutely adores Enchantress, and he's killed some people with it. He was doing the Destiny Spinner, make a big thing, and then give it double strike. So yeah,
this deck can kill out of nowhere pretty quickly, actually.
Yeah, it's got tons of new tools in the last few years, actually, which is cool to see. Like, it's got the new Legend, Green-White Legend as well, right?
Yeah, the Green-White, the 2 mana Enchantress that also gains you life. And
Yeah, so pretty cool.
Awesome.
Because we went into like a deep dive on Destiny Spinner when it came out, I think. We were like,
you might have. I love the card.
Yeah, it's so good in the deck. So, yeah. Anything else jump out in the data?
No. Is there anything, like, to me, every time we finish an episode, I'm like, oh, damn, I want to play this, I want to play that, I want to take advantage of this and that. And then I get into leagues, and it's like completely other decks that I totally didn't expect, that I'm horrible against. I'm like, this deck is trash. Let's go back to Elves.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But yeah, I want to try, actually, maybe I'm going to try Eldrazi. Maybe just like smash some Eldrazi's and see what happens. But I think I still have like an Elves league that I need to finish first. But I'm
all right, tell me when you like run into a 10/10 construct.
Yeah, I mean, I still have Wastelands. Maybe there's going to be a way to stop that. Maybe, what's it called?
Play
Savos Web?
No, play red Eldrazi for Eldrazi Obligator.
And then you see
Seriously.
I told that story, right? I'm not going to repeat that in detail about the guy who tried to sue me because I released his Eldrazi Obligator list.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Well, actually, you hadn't told us it was obligated till now. We got the juice, everyone. We got it.
Yeah, damn. I'm going to prison now.
Yeah.
Then the Obligator is going to come and take me out. Okay, cool. So I think that's it for today, everybody. If you want to support our celebration of Callum's birthday, you can do that by joining our Discord.
My beer now, so yeah, do.
If you want to hit the Discord, hit us up on patreon.com/everydayeternal. You can become a Patreon and support the running of the show. Or if you want to do us another really big favor, you can go to Apple Podcasts and leave a 5-star review of the Everyday Eternal podcast. Thank you so much for that, if you're up for that. If you want to follow us on social media, it's at EternalMTG on both Twitter and Instagram. If you want to find me on Twitter, that's at itsJulian23. And Callum, for you, I think on Twitter, it's at Whitefaces MTG. Mm-hmm. And Twitch is at Whitefaces. But you haven't streamed in a while, neither have I.
Yeah. Getting back to like working a lot is tough.
I'm going to stream the sweet shard fate deck.
Oh yeah, when are you doing that? Because I'm going to tune in and not make fun. Definitely not on an alternate account. Definitely not up to no good. Up to all good.
Sometime this week, I set up the new monitor now, which totally destroyed my OBS setup because it's like a higher resolution than the previous one. And I need to redo that. Like I was planning on doing that either today or tomorrow, but it's going to be pushed back a couple of days, but sometime this week.
Sweet.
Awesome. With that, thanks a lot to our biggest supporters on Patreon, on Eternal Witness tier, Tommy Hinks, Testacular, Sebastian Hollager, Guillaume, Jake, and Severin Schwarzhuber. And on Grizzlebrand tier, Victor Benatz, Bachu Butt, Scott Monroe, Jeremy Gates, Henrik Korkutz, Tom Hepp, Bill Schlichting, and Paragon Games in St. Louis. By the way, Paragon Games in St. Louis putting out a really big tournament. I think, don't make me lie, but I think it's for an Underground Sea. So if you're in that area, definitely hit them up on Facebook and you can find a ton of information about that.
Whoa.
Yeah, let's fly over.
Sweet.
Awesome. So everybody have a great time. See you, and until next time. Bye-bye.
Ciao.